evening and welcome to the Great Entrepreneurs Show. I'm your host, Dr. Anthony L. Gant, and this is a show where we interview entrepreneurs from around the country, real entrepreneurs about the business that they have, what they do, how well they do it, and also how you can get involved with some of the things that they're involved with and some of the challenges they have faced over the time they've been in the business. We're here on IntellectualRadio.com and for call-ins at 708-223-8953 at 708-223-8953. And tonight, my guest for this edition of The Great Entrepreneurs is Liz Martis. Welcome to the show, Liz.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm glad you're here. So, Liz, tell us about who you are, and then we're going to the business that you have.
Well, my name is Liz Martis, and
Closer.
teaching in the teaching field for Chicago Public Schools. And before I started my daycare, I just wanted to get myself together, get more educated about the field before I went into it. I started off at CPS at what you call is a computer help desk, where I assisted teachers and administrators calling in on the system.
Okay.
Whether they wanted to enroll a child or pull up a list of students, things like that, transfer a student, things like that. Going into a special ed clerk, where I went to I think it was 4 schools, and I had 3 schools on the west side, 2 schools on the south side. So I fixed my schedule where I thought about opening up a night care. So it didn't turn out that way, but sort of kind of, because in having my daycare now, I'm also nights. Okay, so I'm from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and then 6 p.m. to 12 a.m.
Wow.
with children. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
So you started in the business. Well, obviously you started as a teacher. How long did you teach in public schools?
I think from 1999 to 2013.
Wow.
And then that's when I started my home daycare.
Okay, so what got you into teaching?
Just being, I guess, working for CPS. And then I guess when I started transporting from school to school, and they used to pull me into I had a title as a guidance counselor aide, a special ed teacher, a special ed clerk, sorry. And they would use me to, when teachers were off, they would pull me in and say, okay, Ms. Martis, could you take over this classroom? And, a lot of the teachers said, I want Ms. Martis in my classroom when they were off, because I actually did teach their kids. And so that kind of prompted me to say, I could do this and I want to do this. And, so many children, they lack a lot of things that they need from when they're at home, and I was there to assist them. And I enjoyed that. Okay. I enjoyed that.
Okay. So what grades did you teach in?
I taught high school.
Wow, you had the big kids.
I taught high school. Yeah, it was something. But I actually taught elementary from first grade on up. I was always, in the classroom. I was always in the classroom.
Okay, so you have went from first to really 12th. I mean,
actually,
as far as kids.
And I've done preschool and kindergarten. Yeah.
Wow.
I've had all classes.
You had all classes.
I did a little at the South Suburban College. I had a couple of classes there where I taught adults. So you
taught adults too.
Yeah. Yes.
So you're just an all-around teacher.
You're
a real teacher.
I ain't trying to brag.
So you're a real teacher. I'm not a real teacher. I just teach certain age groups, like adults.
Okay.
You teach everybody.
Everybody.
That's all right. Yeah. So let's talk about the daycare. Since you've taught so many, it must have been a need you've seen for you to go from maybe teaching young children to as far as
and it was because like I said, being in the classrooms with other teachers and assisting all grades, all ages, it just made me see that I was needed, because children learn differently. And because I went to school for special education, we have to accommodate. We have to always accommodate. And I used to team teach with regular ed teachers when I was in high school. So a lot of my students used to always say, Miss Martis, come over here and help me,
Right.
because they saw how well these students were doing. And a lot of times they didn't understand a lot of things. It's not, you could all, you always have somebody that's not understanding something. It doesn't mean that you have to be a special needs student, And so I found that out with being in the classroom with with everyone. So yeah, I found it to be a need. And so I thought, well, if I start at the beginning when children first, need like 2 years old, 3 years old, if I start from the very beginning teaching, because you always do, as a mother, you're teaching all the time. And so I said, I teach love and respect and manners. All of that comes in with knowing what to do when you're in a classroom, because you have to know how to share. A
Right.
lot of kids in the daycare, they don't want to share. They don't want to share a toy.
A
They
lot of adults
snatching
don't want to
toys.
share neither.
That's true. That's true. So everybody needs it. So there was a need, and you have to build those relationships. It's a purpose for that. I have to build purposeful relationships with my parents.
Okay.
You
So
know.
how do you work that out? Because everybody's child is the best child on the planet to them, right? And their child never does anything wrong. I can't believe my child has done that. So how do you deal with that? Because children do act different sometimes when they're not with their parents, right? So how do you deal with the parents involved with children?
Well, I tell them this, that I'm really firm in the beginning, and many times, um, a lot of my parents already know that,
Okay.
and they want that.
All right.
They want that stability, they want that structure. And they know sometimes that if they feel like they haven't given that, I've had parents to tell me, I need because my child, needs that structure. My child, you could do that. I'm like, well, if I could do it, why can't you do it? This your child, but, and in a sense, yeah, I'm firm.
Right.
And so, I basically say what I mean and I mean what I say. And most of the times, kids, I look them right in their eyes.
Okay.
Did you hear what I say? Okay, so yeah, that's how it's so it works out, and children try you. I used to have a great classroom in teaching high school, and I was able to keep my door open, and the principal and anyone walk past, other teachers, my children were engaged. And so that's what I'm here for. I know that I can do this. So I tell my parents, you come to my daycare, your child is going to come out reading and writing and
Wow.
spelling. You could sing that ABC song, but I'm not impressed by that. I need to point to a C and say, what is that? And you tell me it's a C, not
Okay.
Just singing the song ABCD.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah.
Okay. I like that. So would you say a lot of uh, as a younger child, you like an extension for the parents? As far as when they bring their child to you kind of supply or some extension to structure, like you say, to
Yes.
help them learn something. Because a
Yes.
lot of times at
Yes.
daycares, I haven't ran a daycare or anything like that, but I know a lot of times you do just sing songs and take good naps and eat good lunches, right? So that's about it, you know. And then when mom and dad pick you up, you full of energy and you can go home. So you do some things that's much different than that.
I try to go above and beyond because, a lot of parents say, well, I don't, I've had them at other daycares and they watching television and, but many times they have great, educational things on television that, kids can learn from. And a lot of kids learn from that, like
Mm.
Sesame Street, some of the other ones, because they do teach. I've sat down and watched Sesame Street. And so, but I go, children learn several ways. They learn from asking questions, from story time. So I have story time. Children learn by experience. Children learn by association.
Mhm.
Children learn through play.
Okay.
So
And
there's
all
a
this is encompassed in what you do at
this
the
is what
daycare.
I do, interacting. They have to interact. So yeah, they learn by in several ways. And so this is the same thing with special education and children that are special needs. It's not that they can't learn, but they just need to be accommodated. They may need more time. They may need to read something over, where somebody that is not understanding. So I teach that. I teach English. I taught English in high school, and so I had to teach. The whole language.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So you taught English in high school, huh?
I taught English and English lit. Then my principal put me in a classroom where I taught algebra and biology and chemistry. And I didn't know the first thing about no more than what I learned when I went to school.
Right.
But chemistry, I had to get on the internet and YouTube, and I had my kids in there just having a ball with those formulas.
Right.
In chemistry. So yeah, they learn, and you have to find ways for them to learn. And it's so totally different from you and I and other people when we were learning. We could just read a book and learn, but right now, you have to make it fun.
Right. That makes sense. So what ages do you start with your daycare?
Actually, birth, 0 to 3, and then to 12 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, actually, I want to say infant through 12. Just say infant through 12, because someone can bring their child after 6 weeks.
Oh wow. So you had the babies too.
Yes. Yeah.
That has to be a gift.
I guess.
Yeah, you get.
I guess. Yeah, I guess it's
okay. So what do you find the most challenging in regards to the daycare business for you? What do you think is the most challenging?
Well, there's several things, but I guess just keeping the children coming sometimes, because once they age out, you have to be out there, gathering more and getting more children in, because after they're gone, you gotta keep it moving. And then sometimes with I guess parents wanting to take them out at a certain time, and so that could be like if I'm trying to teach a class and they're bringing them late or something like that sometimes, and I'm like, okay, well, I need them to be here for a certain length of time, and things like that. But
so do you find your kids, the children that you work with, do you find that they're more prepared to go to kindergarten, first grade and things?
Yes, because I teach everything imaginable. I teach them everything, not just ABCs. They're learning phonics, how to sound out a word, because they need to. We have like sight words. I'm showing them sight words, and you start off with like 1 and 2 letter words. I am, but those type of words. And I just go back and I hold them up for them, and they're saying them, because once you start there with words, then you can start with phrases, and then you can start with sentences, and then they're reading.
Wow.
And so I just need parents to work with me, and that's why I said I want to build a relationship with the parents, knowing that they have to work with me.
Right.
Every parent want their child to know everything. They want them to learn everything, but they have to be there with them too. Right. And that's another challenge of mine, because if I give an assignment, and that was my challenge in high school, if I give an assignment, and I know many times, they may not have nobody there to help them, but I remember when I was in the first grade classroom, I team taught with a lady, we would give these kids books to read, like about 10 pages out of a book. And we could tell when they came back, and I sat down with them and I say, okay, let's open the book. You read that for me, and if they didn't, and was stumbling, I know they didn't read. But if they sat down, opened the book and said, okay, da 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 da, and go, I was like, you read this weekend, so I know, I can tell, so I'm there to help that child, because they need to know 2,000 to 3,000 words, new words each year.
Wow.
By the time they're in 3rd grade. And that's like 6 to 8 words per day. And if they don't, and they can learn it, but you have to be that parent and to push that for your child.
So do you give so many words so that they can take home and tell the
Yeah,
parents to
yes,
work with them on
yes,
them too?
yes. I used to quiz my daughters on the way driving them to school. Okay, spell this. What's the meaning of this? Until they got it. And,
Right.
and so most teachers used to give like between 10, 15, 20 words a week. And so that's how I do in my daycare with
Wow.
kids
Okay.
that are at least 3, 4 years old, 5 years old.
That's
Yeah,
good.
because my kids learn that, and then I go around and hold up these words, and they'll say them in the next child. And so if one child's seeing somebody do like 10, 15 words, they go, "Oh, my turn," and that's what my kids used to say. They sit in there and say, "I'm next, Miss Liz. I'm next."
Right.
And I'm like, "Okay, you next." So yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So 2,000 words a year, you say?
Yes, they need to learn. Children need to learn 2,000 to 3,000 new words each year from third grade and on. And so if they have taught those as a smaller, as they're coming up at 2, 3 years old, because when you're talking to a child at 1 and 2 years old, you say words to them. You don't goo goo gaga baby,
Right.
You have to speak and
Speak to them,
talk.
right.
And so because I taught English, well, before I even taught English, my mother used to teach me to speak well. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? It's called code switching. You with your friends, you talk how you want to talk. I might code switch right now, but just saying, I don't want nobody saying, "Oh, she's a teacher and she's,
You
talking
code
crazy."
switch.
But yeah, but that's what it's called. you
I never
know.
heard that term.
Oh yeah,
Code
you
switching.
code switch. So yes, yes, yes. And then in first to second grade, children need to learn at least 800 words per year, and that's about 2 per day.
Wow.
So
I didn't know that.
oh yeah, oh
I
yeah.
mean, that's good if I think if more parents knew that,
Well, yeah, that
they
I don't think they know.
they don't know. Yeah, because that's not a lot of words, but I mean,
It's not, but you basically say them to the kids. If you're talking and you're talking to your child, you're saying words to them, just like they learn stop and no. They learn those words
right.
right away because
Okay.
parents say those words to them.
Say them a
So if
lot,
you
right?
so if they're saying words to them all the time, the same words and different words, they know that.
So that puts the pressure on I'm using the word pressure on the parent to actually get better with their own vocabulary.
In a sense,
Because
and
if their vocabulary get better, then they can pass that on to the
yes.
child and
Yes.
share those words with the
Yes.
child.
And if a children is behind by the first grade, it makes it harder for them to catch up and fill that gap.
Yeah. I heard once, Liz, that I don't know how true this is. They said when kids can't read well by the third grade, the chance of them committing crimes by the time they're 18 is like a strum, really, really high.
Yeah.
And it makes sense because words is how you see. You're saying things, but you're seeing things and saying things. So your vision has a lot to do with your vocabulary.
And also writing.
Yeah.
Because I did a lot of writing. I taught creative writing, and just you have to know how to read in order to write. Because
Right.
if you're spelling and you're writing sentences, then you can write correctly. There's 7 components of language, and the first one that I normally use all the time is the morphology, because that's the meaning of a word.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the reason why a lot of children do not like to read. So if you find a child that doesn't like to read, it's because they don't know the meaning of words, or they don't know how to spell them. So many times when I'm teaching, I used to pull kids out for reading, and I would tell them, when I would give them a passage, not to read it. I'd say, take your pencil and go through this passage, and every word that you don't know how to say,
Mm-hmm.
or the meaning of it, write it down. So I would have a whole list, and I said, and don't play with me, because if I say to read this and then you stumbling over that word, then come on, you making it hard for yourself.
Right.
So they would go through that passage and they would write down words, and I would have them they would have a whole list of words, and then I would say, okay, let's look these words up. Let's find out what the meaning of them, and then talk about it. Then I would tell them to go back and read that passage. And after they knew the words and how to say it and how to, pronunciate it correctly, then they read that passage with no problem.
Now they understand it
Now they
better, so they
understand.
want to read more.
Yes.
Right, I can go with that. I think once I started getting better because I was one of the children at 10, 11, 12 that didn't read well.
Okay.
and I didn't read well because I guess I didn't understand a lot of what things meant.
And so you would skip over it.
I would skip over it, and then you can't skip over like a whole sentence, skip over a whole paragraph.
Oh, you
Like,
can, and then you're bored by that time, and you're
yeah,
saying, "I don't want to read this," and you're
right,
pushing it away.
yeah.
So that's what has happened, and so that is one reason why it pushed me to say, "Okay, I'm in high school with all of these kids, and I had so many that did well in my class, and a lot of them were not interested, and so I knew why." Because I always had my students writing. Um, and they didn't like that. But they end up loving me though.
They end up loving you later.
Yeah, but so yeah, so they had to learn how to read first in order to enjoy writing.
Right.
Because you have to understand what it is that you're reading. If I give you something to read and then you just start, how sometimes you give somebody something, and of course it has the heading on there, and before they pick up their pen and just start, before they start reading, they're gonna write their name and just start. I used to always just read first. I would always read first, and then later on I go back and write my name. Right. I don't know if that that made any difference, but I'm just saying a lot of times people don't read first.
Right.
I
can go with that. I think since a lot of people don't read, they put themselves in a bad position because it turns into a habit.
Yes.
You start young, you don't read, then you're 20, now you're not reading, then you're 30, you're not reading.
Right.
And then you're 40, 50 years old, and reading is almost like the only reading a lot of people do is maybe a paragraph on, on social media.
Right.
Because
and
they don't
it's
read
not,
a lot.
and it's not, it's broken.
Yes.
The English is
It's
broken.
up.
And it's, so that's why that's another code switch for you. That's code switch.
That's code switch.
Yeah, that's code switch.
But some people, that's their whole thing. That's what they do all the time.
Instead of you saying over, over, you say over. OVA, that's code switching. It's okay though. People know what they're talking about.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so let's go into so how do people get in touch with you? Then we're gonna have some questions. If you want to ask Liz some questions, you can call 708-223-8953. Again, that's 708-223-8953. So because I'm interested in how much you have done from kindergarten to high school, which is really amazing to me because obviously we've talked and I didn't know you had done that much. I know the high school teacher that people were trying to get away from because you make them do all that writing.
Yeah.
But you done everything throughout the.
Yes, even testing. I've taught, had classes. I did that over at South Suburban as well. The ACT prep, getting kids ready for that. Writing curriculums. Well, that was with a team. I was at my high school, and just it's good to write curriculums and plans. I've always said to write lesson plans for what you're going to do for the child. So, it just comes natural.
So obviously you have help when you have your daycare. So I'm sure you have helped some people getting.
Well, sometimes I am able to, but they have to take classes. Any assistants would have to take, like I still take classes for the daycare. Right. And, they keep us abreast of things, and we have to have so many hours a year. So that assistant would have to take childcare classes, and it's not a whole lot, because when I first started my daycare, I just kind of researched it, went and got bits and pieces of things that I needed, and I was just like on my own, but I worked it out. They'll tell you like what you need, the classes you need. You first have to have classes. And they'll tell you a certain amount of classes. You have to have your CPR and your first aid, right. Things like that. So, yeah.
So how can a parent work better? We just say as a daycare operator, owner, how can a parent make it easier for you and for the child to learn and do better? What's some things that they can do to make it easier for you and better, and even easier for the child to learn?
Well, as I said, I give homework. I give worksheets, not really homework, but worksheets. And, but I work.
Do the kids really like you? I mean, you give them homework.
They love Miss Liz. Okay, they love Miss Liz. And I have had parents say that. They come home and that's all they talking about is you. what you did, what you all did for the day. And so, yeah, parents can assist me and themselves and assist their children by just kind of reiterating what I teach, what they've learned, because every time we go over something, I make sure the kid has what they need to practice it, whether it's like a song, because I have a lot of songs that teach the days of the weeks, the years, and kids come home singing that, the months of the year, and um, uh, the 7 days of the week, things like that. They learn that because I stand at the podium every day with my stick, and today is Monday. Yesterday was, and then they, and they're reading that. So so if you do that with a child,
so you do that for 3 and 4-year-olds?
Yes, because you can sit once a baby is able to sit in a high chair, like what, 4 months, maybe sometimes 5-6 months.
How lazy the child is.
They can sit there in the classroom, and I've had them in the classroom, and then they learn that. Next thing you know, they singing, Monday, Tuesday, they singing. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and parents like, oh, I got them home and they were singing some Mondays. I said, that's the days of the week. That's what they're learning.
Wow. So you're teaching them that early?
Yes. Yes. I tell my parents, if you come to me, your child will leave me learning. They'll know how to read, write, and that's a fact.
That's good.
That's a fact.
That's good. Yes, I like that, because I don't think I heard of a lot of, like I said, again, I had never operated a daycare, but I don't really think that they do all that. I mean, I've had children, this was years ago, that were in daycare, and I don't remember how much homework I did with them. Yeah, when they were like 2-3 years old.
Yeah.
I don't remember if I know once they got into school, obviously I had to be more involved, but I mean, I pick my kids up every day from daycare, drop them off, and I don't really remember singing Monday, Tuesdays of the week.
Well, yeah.
I'm not saying they didn't. I'm not saying
they didn't learn it, but
right.
Yeah, but I teach all of that.
Yeah, I think as a parent that would be advantageous, because I just looking back at it when I was
right. Well, things have changed.
A young parent.
And they need to know that.
Yeah. And I don't think I thought of even daycares as that. I think I looked at it as babysitting.
Just playing and babies. Yeah. And I tell parents that, because I've had parents come up to me and say, I need a babysitter. I'm not a babysitter. I'm your provider.
Right.
Yeah.
But not a babysitter.
I'm not a babysitter.
I think maybe a lot of parents may look at daycare that way. Maybe they don't look at learning until school starts.
But let me tell you what I think. Okay. I think that a lot of parents have a misconception of what a home daycare is,
Okay. Why don't you explain it to us?
And comparing it with a center. And sometimes they don't take it as serious. But I'm serious about mine. So I think that's what it is. And I won't go into all of that, but I think that.
So what do you think the misconception with a home?
Because they don't treat it like it's a center, if that makes any sense. They just don't. And I'm here when I interview my parents, I always tell them, first I ask them, what is it that they're looking for? And for me, what for me to do, right, as the provider, and so many of them want the same things, but then I go into telling them everything that I do. And then after I show them my place, and they're like, oh, I like it, but I want them to be more involved with their child. And, many of them will say, yeah, I do this and I do this with my child, but then there's many of them that do, and it benefits them because they'll see. But I think they think it's different. I think they think that it's a babysitting, operation, but it's not. And DCFS is actually changing that as well, and I think that's why they want us to go to classes and continue to learn
Mhm.
and be able to help the parent with their child more as far as education and academics.
And that makes sense. I mean, I think as obviously as a parent, you should demand, not demand like demanding from you, but almost expect that my child is learning throughout the day.
Yeah,
You-
yeah. Well, it's coming to that. Many of the home daycares are teaching and doing activities. They have to.
That's good.
They have to.
That's
And
good.
I want parents to know that they have to do that. Now, if they're not, then that's another story. But I know that I am, and so
And since DCFS is making this a standard, regardless of where I have my child, I should expect them to learn something
something. Yeah.
consistently,
Yes.
not
Yes.
just taking
Yeah.
naps and eating crackers and everything at
Right.
lunchtime.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense because I think a lot of parents probably don't know that, especially like I think the 2,000 words kind of have me, right?
2,000 to 3,000 words, right? Each
I mean, I
year.
think that's really good, but I think I heard something similar to that, Liz, and I think my children at this time were probably in their teens.
Okay.
How many thousands of words they should learn?
Right. Right.
I don't think I heard that when they
Back
were,
when they were little,
yeah,
like third grade,
right.
yeah,
I
and
don't,
onward. And it happens because second grade, third grade is when they are to learn how to sound out words. They learned that back then.
right,
So that's the reason why they need to know that many words because they're learning how, like when my kids was first in school, and you know how when they're in kindergarten and they used to sing every time they talk,
right,
like like when they're reading, should I say,
right.
I cut that out real quick.
Okay,
You're not going to sing while you're, I just didn't like that. Today is, it's like today is,
right,
so I always, and I teach that in my daycare. When
right,
we're reading something, we're not singing. We're just reading, you
right.
know.
Which is totally different than singing.
You're reading.
Right,
Yeah. What is language? No. What is language?
right.
Read it.
Read it.
We're
Right.
not singing it.
We're not a choir up in here.
Right. So I'm, and not until we're singing for real. But
Right.
yes, I'm teaching and that's what, and so my specialty is reading, right, and teaching kids how to, know meanings of words so that when they get out here, they can read anything
Right.
and know the meanings of it.
That's good.
That's my specialty.
And that's good because even you being a daycare provider, it helps the child when they get to school to kind of almost be a step ahead once they get into the school,
That's the
environment.
plan. That's the plan.
So they won't fall behind because they have some understanding of some basic reading skill, basic writing skills. So
Hmm.
what about, let's go up a little bit older now, because I know you said up to 12. So when you have older children, obviously they're in school during the day
And they come
and they
to
come to
me
you after
after school,
school.
and yeah,
Okay.
that's what that is, like before and after school.
Okay.
And they don't have to be 12. They can be, you know,
Seven, eight, whatever.
yeah,
Right.
7, 8, yeah.
So how do you work with them? Okay. I've been in school all day, Miss
Okay, well,
Liz.
they have to get that homework out the way,
Okay.
and that's what I do for the parent. This is what that way when the parent picks them up, their child, even if they haven't finished, they've started it.
Okay.
And if they need any assistance, then that's where I come in at to help with whatever it is they need. Yeah.
So what age do you think that, just from your experience, that you see like this, maybe this gap? Is it like 5 to 6 years old? Is it 7 to 8? Do you see a gap somewhere in between this, since you work with children from birth to 12?
Um, I don't know where it actually cuts off at
Mhm.
because in high school, of course, I taught freshmen through seniors because of me having English,
Right.
Teaching English.
Everybody had to
But
come through you.
everybody had to come through me. They had to see me. They had to see me.
Like, oh
Um,
no, we got to see Miss Martis. You have Miss Martis this year?
right. So I don't know. And that was one of the things that I used to say because if they came to me in freshman year and you just got out of eighth grade, I'm gonna need you to know something. I need you to know what I'm giving you
Right.
because basically I do like a review of what you had in eighth grade. But what gets in the way is children not knowing meanings of words, and so I don't know where they cut off at. Like when I was in the classrooms, like say before I became a teacher, and I used to assist many of the teachers, like third and fourth grade. I don't know. I had first grade, second, and I had three third grade classrooms and three fourth grade classrooms, and those kids were on it.
Mm-hmm.
They knew what they knew, and because there were some excellent teachers, and there are many excellent teachers out here today.
Right.
At it's just the thing of them being able to put that lesson out there many times. If
I agree with you there.
You know what I'm saying?
I did quite a few things with CPS, with a lot of schools. And one thing I will say is a lot of good teachers. There's a lot of good teachers out
and
there.
they have, they come in and want to teach, and they say, I'm just going to take over the world, but if they, but they need those type of students.
Right.
That's going to, work with them. And
Yeah.
those parents, because those parents have to be there
Yeah.
and invest in that student, because that's how we get our, our kids out here that become doctors and lawyers and stuff, because of those parents that are right there saying, on Friday you come in the door doing your homework, not wait until Sunday to do it.
Right.
I'm just saying.
That makes sense. When I was younger, my mom had my sisters and I had what was called a reading hour.
Oh, okay.
Which I really was like mad at her about that. But we used to have to read for an hour, and you can read anything you want.
And I think that's great.
That's great. And when I was raising my children, we had a reading hour. And we'd pick a day. I saw, even though the internet was out, I will always still take them to the library so they can see books around, right? So they can get used to being in a place and focusing.
That's good.
On their work, because I knew once you get older, you things get in the way. You get relationships and jobs and everything. So you got to learn how to be disciplined and be a good person, person that can read. Because if you put it in a, I always say, if you want to keep somebody in a bad, just put it in a book. They won't read it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm big on that reading that you say.
And I for the last couple years, I think Rahm Emanuel had the book fair where you read. We were going to. I was taking my children to the library, and they were giving us, like, each of my kids walked away with, like, I want to say 24 to 30 some books.
That's good.
I got some from my daycare, so all of my books are like up to date. I don't have old books that. I have good books. So yeah, that's what I'm about. I have to teach kids.
That's good. So since you've been doing this a little while, have you seen some of the products that you've taught over the years, and as mature adults now?
Oh wow! I just saw a student. I was because I've been trying to partner with a couple of schools that's in my area, and I was standing outside. This was like a couple of days ago, and this guy said, "Excuse me."
That's what he said.
Didn't you used to teach at Harlan? I said, I did. And he goes, I remember you. What, your name, Miss Martis? I said, yes. So, kids still remember me. They still see me. And for a while, I had them calling me, asking me to write papers when they went off to college. Had a couple of students saying, Miss Martis, I understand what you were saying in English class now, because I got to write this paper, and because I used to throw it back at them. What is this? What is this? Yes, because I used to teach really hard, and I want you to understand, and it's like you coming in here with this crap, and I'm
come back and bring me something else tomorrow.
So a few of them were calling me. I allowed them to have my number after that. After school, I'm like, don't give my number to nobody. So they were calling me and asking me to help them write papers. Because I used to teach creative writing after school. And I taught summer school and I taught night school. So
you just love teaching, huh?
When somebody is sitting there and they want to learn it,
okay.
When you want to learn it, I'm ready to teach it. Yeah, that's right.
That's good. That's good. That's so we don't have any calls coming in. Tell us how we can get in touch with you. We got a few more minutes.
Okay.
So how do we call you or email you and say, I want my baby at your daycare?
Well, I'm online. If you type in Sate which is in caps SETAY. And you want to know what that stands for?
Yes, I do. I was going to ask you, what does that stand for?
You ready for this?
I'm ready for this.
SETAY stands for Serving Everyone, Teaching All Youth.
Oh, okay.
And so if you look online, I'm online with my hours and where I'm located. Yeah, and my number is 872-212-9416.
One more time for me, please.
That's SETAY, 872-212-9416.
Okay, that's good. I like that. I like that acronym.
Do.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I was sitting
how'd you come
at
up with
home,
that? Yeah.
just sitting at home one day, and I knew that I needed it before I opened my daycare. And I said, Lord, I need a name for my daycare, something that is catchy, something that, and because I teach, I wanted something that went with what I do. Just like my my email is reading the writing. It's because I teach reading and I teach writing. So yeah, I just came up with, God gave that to me.
Okay.
God gave
Can
that
someone
to me.
email you at
Right, reading the writing. I could be emailed at reading, one whole word, READINGTHEWRITING, reading the writing at yahoo.com.
Okay. Wow, that's pretty interesting. I'm thinking about days back in high school because I wasn't an English major, and you sound like you were pretty tough. So I probably been on the run from you.
You would have. You would have.
Oh no! I hope I get you the first year. Anybody ever have you twice?
Yes, because they didn't do what they were supposed to do in the beginning of the year, so they had to do. They thought they was, getting by, and I taught summer school. So they was right back in my face, and I was like, "Hello, it's me."
It's you again.
Yeah, and I really gave it to them then,
Really?
because I'm like, "You didn't do nothing the whole
for
year
9 months.
for the whole year, so now you got to work it out."
Right.
So
You didn't play, huh?
I tried not to.
You roughing them up in there.
I tried not to. I'm serious about teaching because, kids out here need that. They need that to survive.
Right.
You need to know something.
Right.
You need to know something.
But that's impressive, though. I think that some of the best people to deal with, especially in teaching, are people that love doing it.
Right.
I think if you find it in high school or even if it's adult learning, you don't want to be around somebody you trying to learn something they don't love teaching it. And I think having a teacher that loves teaching it helps out the student because the student can pick that up. If it's just a job or if this is something that she really trying to help me learn and that you love reading and writing.
And I proved that to many of my students because they did fear reading in my class, because I used to do round tables and, okay, read this. I didn't always just sit there and read. I'm going to make you read.
Right.
So, when they saw that I was serious about it and I didn't allow no playing in my classroom or signifying it, because I'm like, you may not know it either. Right. So stop, so we didn't tease each other. We were like family, and I made it like that in my classroom. So they were apt to come to me and say, okay, Miss Martis, I don't understand this. And I would tell them, raise your hand now, especially if I'm, getting you ready for this test. Mm-hmm. Don't sit here and say, I got it. And then come time with test and I'm checking your paper and you don't have it. Right. So yeah, I let them know that I'm here for you, Right. Don't be embarrassed. It's okay.
Right. I think a lot of times people are, especially young people and older people too, we're a bit embarrassed to say when we don't know something, right? We think of asking a question means that something is wrong with me.
Right.
And instead of saying asking the question, it means that I want to learn.
You can learn. That's what I said. And they learn in all types of ways, asking questions. Right. And,
So what do you think that comes from people not asking questions, especially young people? What is it? Is it a fear of being ridiculed by others?
Yes, because kids talk about each other and they think it's funny and they make fun. And so, yes, that's why. And so if the teachers out here would just tell the kids, no signifying in my classroom. You will not talk about nobody. This is for everybody, and everybody don't understand quite often, quite easy, as someone else might. You
Right.
know,
That's true. That's
you
true.
know.
Let me ask you this question too, Liz. Um, if someone wanted to learn how to get into the daycare business, I mean, could they contact you and ask you a question? Maybe you can steer them
Yes,
into
I
something.
already have a couple of people that are have been contacting me about opening, and I've already been given, some help. So I'm all for that. If anybody wants to call me and find out how to get started, it's not hard at all. You have to do a little research, and you can find everything you need by DCFS has a wealth of information. However, um, the things that you need would just be your classes to start off with,
Okay.
and
So how long does it normally take? A person say, okay, I want to open up a daycare
like
business.
90 days.
Really? So they can go and
Yes.
take classes now
They
and
could
then.
take their classes and get their 15 hours. Um, their 15 hours because when they do it, it's a 2 hour class each time.
Okay.
So they do a 2 hour class and they get their certificates and then they just add it up. I think first aid and CPR is like 5 credit hours right there. And so then you have to get your other 10 by way of, just taking your 2 hour classes.
So you mean to tell me I can say, you know what, I'm gonna open up
You can.
Anthony Gant Daycare Center,
You can.
and within 90 days I can be in the daycare
So
business.
then you have a rep that comes out and you just have to, whatever age group that you desire to, start with, then you have to have everything you need for that age group. So if you're going to do infants, you have to have things for infants like the bed, to the cribs,
Right.
to the type of toys for that age group, for
Wow,
infants and, 1 year olds, 2 year olds, 3 year olds. You have to have your books, of course. You have to have the right toys for each age group.
that's pretty interesting. I really thought it took longer than that. I
No,
didn't. I mean, obviously,
it's
I
about
never
90
looked at
days.
about 90 days.
It's
So,
about 90 days.
I
Then you
mean,
have the fire, um, the um, the fire department comes out,
check your
and make sure, and they have to,
inspects.
yeah, they just go through your house and check everything. You just have to have it, it's not hard. It's not hard.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. I hope some people learn something from that because they
Yeah.
can. Because I know a lot of people that like working
I
with
hear a
kids.
lot
Yeah.
of I hear a lot of girls say that I want to open me up a daycare, so yeah.
And they probably think it's harder than that. Thinking that it may take longer. Maybe I need to be a teacher
No,
like
no,
Liz.
I just felt that I wanted to do more education, and just, educate myself on it. And then everything takes time sometimes.
Right.
You can't always just say I'm gonna do something, when it's your time, then it's your time. Because I have been saying it like I want to say in the early 80s before I really did it. And when I started talking about it and saying I was about to do it, people started saying, "You've been saying that for a long time." It wasn't my time. But
Right. So I want you to give your information out one more time for people before we close it out. So your email address and phone number and so forth.
okay, the name of my daycare is Setay,
And that stands for what?
Setay, and it stands for Serving Everyone, Teaching All Youth. You can contact me by way of email, reading the writing at yahoo.com, as well as online. You can key in Setay, and my daycare and operation hours will pop up. And
Phone number.
my phone number is 872-212-9416.
That's good, Liz. It's been such a pleasure and honor for me to have the opportunity to interview you. And thank you all for coming to and taking a look at the Great Entrepreneurs Show. And you can also check me out on the Great Author Show. And with this show has been sponsored by unknowngreatness.com and also getitdonepublishing.com and entrepreneursinstitute.com. So until next time, see you then.